All right. Assalamu alaikum. How are you doing
Wa
today?
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Doing well, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. I'm excited that we get a chance to sit down and talk through something that is so crucial and integral for all of us that are in this period. So maybe not everyone, but anyone that's experiencing caregiving
Yes.
for elders or for youngers. This is what our conversation is going to be about. But how about you give us a brief little intro about yourself, Sister Saima, and tell us, um, your background, where you're at in kind of your journey with this, and then inshallah I'll do the same.
Yeah, Jazakallah khair. No, I'm very excited to share this. And we know, and when we're having this conversation, a lot of people are able to see themselves in and I like when I also hear people and I feel like I'm not the only one that's going through this, and it just
Hmm.
feels more comfortable that okay, there are other people that are in the same boat as me. So, Alhamdulillah, let's see. So, we came to the States about 30 years back, and my parents came when they were 50 and 60 years old. And then
Okay.
we're three siblings. My brother came as a student, and then myself and my younger brother came a little bit later and kind of joined the family. And mashallah, both our parents they they live, my mom started working as a daycare teacher for the first time in her life as a 50 plus year old because
Mm.
my father wasn't able to get the job that he wanted. So they reversed roles where my father stayed at home and actually he started cooking roti, chapatis.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was amazing. And his rotis were actually better than my mom's, subhanAllah. And my mom didn't like that. But, and then my mom used to go to work and my dad used to stay at home. And then we saw that. And, but now, subhanAllah, my father has passed away. May Allah have mercy on him. And us siblings, myself and my two younger brothers, are taking care of our mother who has Alzheimer's.
Okay, subhanallah. Yeah, that's very tough to be able to have in terms of care when Alzheimer's comes into and how hands-on that can get. And may Allah give your father Jannah and forgive
Ameen.
any of his sins. Tell us a little bit about yourself. You're a life coach. You've been a teacher. You've got children yourself too. Maybe give us a quick little intro about yourself and what you do.
Right. So I studied in Dubai. All my education was in Dubai. Went to Pakistan for a few years. My father wanted me to be a medical doctor,
Okay.
but subhanAllah, in that I kind of started in that journey, but Allah did not open that door. He opened that door of a Montessori teacher for me at that career choice point. And then I was a teacher for 20 plus years. And then, subhanAllah, during COVID time, um, and I have three adult children now, mashallah, 27, 24, and 20.
Okay.
So during COVID time, when my children were kind of struggling with their mental health and just isolation, that's when Allah opened a life coaching door for me. So
Okay.
that was a perfect transition, alhamdulillah, from an educator,
Yeah.
nurturing individuals, nurturing children, and
Right.
into life coaching. And my desire was to focus on emotional and mental health for
Okay.
the Muslim community.
Nice.
And then again, Muslim women, just kind of from my own experience, and then youth and young adults because I was a teacher for so long.
Yeah.
So,
I have a
Alhamdulillah. So
a skill
that's
set that I think is so influential and powerful, and a lot for us to be able to benefit and learn from in ways that is lived experience rather than just kind of book knowledge.
right.
Yeah.
Yes. And so I find myself connecting with the youth, and they will say, "Oh, Saima Auntie, we really like working with you." And I realize, oh,
Yeah.
subhanAllah, Allah trained me as an educator so that I could
Allahu Akbar.
connect with my clients now
Okay, alhamdulillah, which is
more.
huge, which is
Yeah,
always the
alhamdulillah.
tough thing too, to be able to have that kind of connection. So, alhamdulillah, Allah yabarak. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
tell us about you.
Okay, so I am a therapist by way of education. I have been doing therapy work for over 14 years now, alhamdulillah. Primarily doing it for the Muslim community. I got a chance to study overseas and study the Islamic side of counseling and the principles of tasawwuf to be able to bring
MashaAllah.
into this practice so that it's not
Mm.
just a Western modality, but also influenced by what is
Yes.
important for us in way of life.
Mm, mm,
And so just being able to have that has been a great thing. I've also
MashaAllah.
been within the IT industry, doing something
Mm.
called user experience, which is the design psychology of software. So we're the people that get you
Mm.
addicted to your phone. So, but I
Mm.
was working in tax, so it wasn't something harmful.
Mhm.
I was getting people addicted to doing their taxes and finance.
Subhanallah.
So that was something that I've been doing alongside. Alhamdulillah, along all of this, I'm also a father of three and inshallah soon to be four. We
MashaAllah.
have our children are young. They're 9, 7, and 2. And I am a middle child. So there's six of us, alhamdulillah.
Mm.
And our parents are here nearby and they're both alhamdulillah alive and they're both at that point where they both do need some caretaking. My sister, Allah bless her, takes care of most of it, but that's kind of where that is for me.
Mm. Right. Yeah. So you're right. So yeah, what does your day look like? What does your week look like
Yeah, I mean
with
it's
all
it's
those different hats?
okay, that's the tough thing. I think you just said it with all those different hats because with having these multiple hats and especially the hat that we in Islam get put on mostly of having birrul walidain and taking care of our parents and having
Mm.
that respect for them that you shouldn't even say oof to that
Mm-hmm.
extent that identity of being a son was a very strong one. So going from that to then getting married and having my first child and then moving out and having subsequent children, trying to become a father, trying to become someone a bit more independent in that sense, it is a very difficult thing, I think, just having that. So you mentioned you came here and the transition coming to America is hard too. I was, alhamdulillah, born and raised here. So I got to see what life is like in different parts of the world when I got to travel. But knowing that now, they say that the couples that have elderly parents, they suffer their relationship in caretaking sometimes, and it has an adverse
Mm-hmm.
effect on their relationship. And this was something that I started to find myself within when my parents started to need more care. That here I
Mm-hmm.
am, I have to say, okay, you have to deal with the kids or the kid or whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is. I'm gonna go and like it's hard raising young children, raising children in general. So I don't want to say it's just young children.
Right. Right.
uh, you know, raising children is difficult, and then caretaking is difficult on both ways, both directions. So for me, and I know what you asked was a day in the life or a week in the life, it fluctuates. There's times where, I'll have to go do a pick up and drop off for the kid or take them to their class and take their gym bag that they forgot or go to my
Mm-hmm.
parents and help drop something off in groceries or pick them up and take them to their appointment or whatever it might be. It varies week to week and day to day depending on the need. But we make it a point to go at least twice a week to my parents to
Mm-hmm.
visit them and to check on them. And I take the kids too when I can if I can because I think it's
Mm-hmm.
important for them to be there as well.
Right. Actually, you bring up a really good point. So what does that look like? Like
Hmm.
your children seeing you take care of your parents, like how do they take it? What do they understand? What conversation you have with them?
Yeah. So, it's one of those things that they can't fully appreciate, but
Mm,
they understand it. So my mom was hospitalized recently, and I had to tell them, like, look, I wish I can read you your story or
mm,
play with you, but I have to go and visit grandma and
mm,
take care of her and see how she's doing. And so they were sad, but I told them, look, just like we asked you guys for help and you guys help
mm,
us,
mm,
Baba still has to do this too because
mm.
this is my mama. And so I try
Right.
to help them kind of conceptualize it in a way that they can understand, which is like, look, you can see mama, she needs help with
Mm,
cleaning or cooking or
yeah.
moving things around because it's hard for her right now, and you guys have been helping her, and how
Mhm.
happy she got from it. And so I was
Right.
like, I have to do the same. And so their sadness kind of turns into understanding when
Mm.
I'm able to help them reframe it. But it is because they're still young, they still have that energy, they still want to play. And what's hard for me is like I want that because it's like, one of the things that almost everyone told me and keeps telling me is these days will go by just so fast.
Yes.
Before you
Oh,
know it, they're going to
yes.
be adults.
Yes.
So I've heard this so much and from so many different people of different walks of life that
Uh-huh.
I understand there's something in there. So
Yes.
I don't want to lose out on those moments
Mm-hmm.
of, my kid's not going to ask me for a bedtime story one day, and I'm going to
Yep.
miss that. And
Yep.
I'm going to be sad that I don't get a chance to do that and to um, sacrifice that too is a sacrifice. And that's the trade. If it feels like they say what the sandwich generation, right? Because you're
Mm-hmm.
caretaking above and you're caretaking below, you're just getting
Mm-hmm.
pressed. So it's like you have to try to do right by everyone,
Both.
and you feel like
Yeah.
you're doing nothing right. And
And
so
then
I
your
feel
spouse is in the middle and your job is in the
exactly
middle
right.
and
There you go. And so then everything else has to pay a tax almost.
right, right.
Yeah.
Subhanallah. Subhanallah. And you know what you were saying about Birrul Walidain? So now my mom's become my baby.
Allah.
And
Alhamdulillah.
subhanallah, and she was our rock. I mean, she was somebody who literally held the family, the
Mm,
extended family, really, just she was the rock of the extended family.
yeah.
And so now for her to ask me, can I sit here? Can I eat this? I want to go to the
Allah.
bathroom, So subhanallah. So
Yeah.
but then, when your children do that, you get a little frustrated once in a while. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Of
go do
course.
that. But
Yeah.
you cannot do that with your parent.
Right.
So, right, you
Yeah.
cannot do that with your parent. So now I am extremely, I'm constantly having this conversation with Allah because
Okay. Yeah.
I I don't raise my voice ever, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, but I
Alhamdulillah.
get snappy
Right.
with my mother. And I
Yeah.
catch myself and I'm like,
Yeah.
what am I doing? Ya Allah, I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. What am I doing?
Right.
And so that is huge, that
Right.
constant reminder. But she's reached that stage where I need to be a certain amount of firm.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
Otherwise,
difficult, right? Yeah.
oh
Sorry.
my
Go ahead.
goodness, finding that. Okay. And now,
Balance.
so I'm so like emotionally really just raw and
Yeah.
vulnerable with my mother.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so now here are my adult kids that, the other day I sat them down and I said, I am emotionally exhausted. And please, I
Wow.
would like you all to understand that. And can
Mm-hmm.
you all be just a little bit more sensitive in not to add more to my plate? Like
Allah.
to
Yeah.
be, please, I have a 20-year-old daughter, so very
Mm-hmm.
attitudey. So I was like, can I not get attitude? Can you
Yeah.
guys not open the fridge and say, there's no food in the house just because you don't like what's in there? Because
Right.
then that also takes a toll on me. So subhanAllah, yes, grown-up kids, but they're like, oh, and there are different timings of them going and coming back. And here's my mom's schedule. At
Mm-hmm.
10:30, she needs to be in her room. She needs to, uh, you know, um, we have a gate on the staircase so that in the middle of the night she doesn't go downstairs. But my children
Mm.
are adult children are all the time. And so I'm
Hmm.
constantly texting them, make sure you put both
You,
the bolts
yeah,
on the gate. And I'm
yeah.
not even sleeping properly because
Hmm.
what if my
They
one
forget, and
child
where did you
forgot the
go? Right.
bolt and then
Yeah.
in the middle of the night she'll walk. So subhanallah, it's just a constant 24 hours emotional toll where my children are seeing it, they're understanding it, they help me. They help me where like, can you sit with Nano just for, for this half hour while I go take a shower or something?
Hmm.
But at the same time, they don't because they're like, okay, she's your mother, not ours. So it's like that I can see sometimes that attitude, but
Hmm.
not too much, but still. Then so it's
Yeah.
like the mom guilt and forget the spouse, poor
Right.
spouse,
Oh, no, no, and that's what they say.
Yeah,
Usually the spouse is the one who, the
subhanallah,
couple is the first thing that's sacrificed,
subhanallah. And my
in
career, my
yeah.
job, I mean, I am seeing very few clients because of that reason, because
Hmm.
I'm like, okay, I
Of
can put
course.
that in the back burner for now.
Yeah, because how are you going to find time to be able to do that? If you do have a client and you have something come up, like, how do I balance
Yep,
that and do that?
yep,
Yeah,
subhanallah,
absolutely. SubhanAllah.
subhanallah.
And it's such a tough thing, and you hit on a few things that I think are so important. Just the stress of just being able to constantly have your mind almost buzzing and aware. It's like you don't get a chance to turn off your nervous system and have an off
Mm-hmm,
switch and just lay
mm-hmm,
down and relax. And that's the part that's so important because sometimes when we do this, like you said, I have to catch myself and prevent myself from
mm,
bringing attitude. It's such a huge thing because of that whole concept of we don't want to even say oof, but when you fall into this constant cycle of doing, and you're doing for your mom, you're doing for your children, you're doing for your home, you're in this cycle. It's only natural where you're not getting a break, even like you said, down to when you're resting, you're not getting that break
mm-mm,
because it's
mm-mm.
still on. And
Constantly, yeah.
so to fall into those moments of being a little bit stern or lippy, that's like understandable. It's going to happen because that's just something that even for me, like as you were talking, I was reminded of when I had to catch myself of like, okay, Ali, you don't talk to your parents like that. That's
Mm, mm-hmm,
disrespectful.
mm-hmm,
And I noticed like the more I was in the environment and more in that
mm-hmm.
caretaking and more just present there, it built that up even more. So I had to
Yes.
become conscious about, okay, I do need to step away more and to do that so I can
Mm,
go recharge my battery and come back full, not
yes.
just
Yes.
stay like,
Yep.
in the danger
Yep.
mode and then have my alarms going off because my phone is dying essentially, my internal
Yes.
battery, and I
Yes.
don't have enough to give them. And so that's not
Yep.
healthy either. So it's so important to be able to have mercy on ourselves because here we are, we're doing it for everything, but Islam doesn't say just have mercy to everyone else but destroy yourself. And so it's an amanah, right? Like one of the five amanahs that we have is our health before its deterioration
Mm,
and our youth before our old age. So like it's so important. Our taking care of ourself is so
right.
integral to our role of taking care of others and ourselves.
Absolutely. Because and I'm a firm believer that if it's not in you, you cannot give.
Yeah, that's
Like
great.
positivity, energy,
Yeah.
mercy. Like if you're not taking care of yourself, just that whole, airplane mask thing. That
Yes,
unless
I love
you
that
have that,
analogy.
yeah, that's such a simple analogy that you
Right.
need to be
Put your own mask
breathing
on
in
first.
order to help others. But that I do want to give credit
Hmm.
to my I won't say village, but at the same time,
Yeah,
people around me that give me that kind of break.
mashallah.
Alhamdulillah.
Right.
So of course
Alhamdulillah.
my children,
Yeah.
whenever I need them, they're almost there,
Yeah.
whenever I
Right.
need them. But of course they
Yeah.
are adults, they
They
have their
have
own
their things
schedule.
to do too, right?
Yes, yes. And then mashallah, Alhamdulillah, I'm the older sister with two younger brothers. So the three of us,
Mm.
Alhamdulillah, we're a great team. We're a great tag
MashaAllah.
team. And
That's
I'm
awesome.
so grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that.
Yeah.
That I'm the three of us are, constantly texting each other and I'm
Hmm.
updating them like on a regular daily, weekly basis. This is what happened today and this is what happened today. Just so that I'm venting and then they know. And then
Yeah.
my brother who lives close to me will come and relieve me and say, relieve me for some time and say, oh, I'm going to take mama to the park or I'm going to
Yeah.
take to the masjid.
That's
You take a
amazing.
nap, you
Yeah.
take a nap. And so, alhamdulillah, that's a huge blessing, huge.
Right.
And then so mama has three younger brothers here. And then, so she's close to her brothers. They sometimes visit,
Okay.
but a couple of my aunts, their wives, they are again are people who just love my mother
Mm.
but they're again busy in their own lives. So when they are there, then that's very helpful that they're there and I can
Right.
again go take a nap.
Right.
And then we do get a caregiver for mama. And some months we're able to do like a 24-hour caregiver,
Okay.
but then the caregiver has to leave. And then some months we don't have anyone.
Yeah.
And so that those are the cycles. But I want to end this particular conversation with this that my mother, mashallah, she's an amazing woman who was always kind to everyone, but she has a pretty bad relationship with caregivers
Hmm.
because in her mind, this person is following me, this person's trying to help me. Who are you? I don't need your help. I'm independent. I'm not a
Right.
kid. So she'll take help from me and my brothers, but she
Hmm.
will push the caregiver away. So
Mm.
even though we have a caregiver, I still
Yeah.
end up doing 80% of the work.
Allah. Yeah.
She's just there as a person that when I do leave the house, there's an eye
Good.
on my mother.
Right.
That's it.
Right. Yeah. And then that doesn't give you the amount of flexibility that's needed in order to really have that help that would have come from
Yes.
that caregiver and
Yes,
adds to it.
exactly.
And it's great to hear about the village because the village is exactly it. Like it takes a village. It takes a village. And
Mm,
not just to raise a child, but to raise each other. It takes a village to help one another because that's just
hmm
what it is. We used to have communities that were, you go outside your neighbor, your uh,
Right.
Borosi, as they say, like
Right.
they're all almost family-like. So everyone
Yes.
takes care of one another, and that concept has now really left us.
hmm
And especially in this kind of individualistic society. So they have like group societies and individual societies. We
mm
have this more individualistic nature within our society here now, and that I feel like has spread all over the world. But that
Yes.
sense of community, that sense of village mentality got lost. I remember when I was growing up, we all, the whole Khandan and the whole family, the extended family, lived near each other. It was amazing.
hmm
We would leave the house. There's no cell phones, no nothing. We just say
hmm
we're going to so and so, chacha or khala or whoever, and
hmm
we would leave the house. We'd go there and we'd come back by Maghrib. And then we would go there, and we are now someone else's responsibility, right? So
Yes.
we're
Yes.
we're at my older cousin. Her kids were my age, and we would go there all the time. So she
hmm
would like feed us
Yes.
snacks first.
hmm
Like she already knew we were coming and anticipates
hmm
it. And it was never, oh, am I burdening her or this or that? We
hmm
would show up unannounced. Now
Yep.
we're so like, we have to text, call, make sure and this. And we've lost so much connection from this formality that we've created.
Yes.
It's like, oh, it's a
Yes.
burden
hmm
and this and that. And so I benefited so much growing up that way. And now that my kids are older, I moved near my brothers who live a couple blocks away from me. And
hmm
so, the goal is if we can try to recreate that for them, how
Right.
awesome would it
Yes.
be? And so
Yes.
that's where, it's like, look, we want them to come over. We have a trampoline, come bounce here. they can go there and
Mm,
play basketball because they have a hoop. And so it's like it's a shared network of
yes.
resources and
Yes.
energy and caretaking, and that's what's
Yes.
needed. And I feel like is just
Yeah.
getting lost. There's one other piece you mentioned about communication with your siblings. I think that part is so integral to have that ability to be able to, like you said, message them so they're in the loop and they understand what's happening
Mm,
and what it means. Not just for me to guilt trip them, but to keep them informed. They should
yes.
know. They should know like everything that I have to do day to day and what that could look like and where mom is like now. And I think that's important.
Hmm.
Because if we do that, then there you and you even mentioned I vent to them. And I was like, yeah, that's great because you get to do that. And then you said, sometimes my brother will come over because he recognizes, ooh, that sounds like a hard day.
Yes.
Let me come take her
Yes.
to the park. And so
Yes.
those types of things are so
Mhm.
awesome when we have that because it helps us to be able to be a team, essentially, and not
Right.
be able to feel like it's, one person's responsibility.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you
Yeah.
for kind of giving that positive feedback. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because, and then I also realized as you were talking, um, because I give them, this happened and this happened, that
The
when mama does go to them, they already
Mhm.
know the whole backstory. So it's not
Yes.
like, okay, I'm recapping like a month. Oh, yeah, and I want to tell you that
Right.
because they already
Right.
know what
Yeah.
to expect,
Yes.
the
And that's
routine.
huge, right?
Hmm.
Huge, huge. So they say that there's this concept of the designated child. Essentially, one sibling will carry
Mm.
90% of
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
responsibility, and this is where like the other siblings end up just kind of sending opinions from the sidelines and not being able to
Yeah.
help. So, you mashallah are taking it on, but you have found a way to be able to share it so it doesn't feel completely weighty in that way that will
Yes.
create resentment because
Yes.
something that happens, the destruction of families happen from
Yes.
caregiving
Hmm.
itself because it becomes something that it needs to have some level of care that's put in. So the fact that you do this, then especially if they do need to take mom to the appointment or do anything else like that, they already know. Like sometimes I'll
Hmm.
catch myself when I have to take a call from my dad's doctor that I'd be like, I'm not too sure about that. And so then I would have to go find
Hmm.
out and ask my siblings to get the missing information.
Yep.
And in
Yep.
this way, it's like, okay, no, we have it, and we're all kind of in
Yep.
the loop in a way that's important to keep everyone in the loop.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most of the times, doctor's appointment, we try that two of us siblings go to the appointment just so that there are two sets of eyes and
Great.
ears.
Yes. That's
But at the
huge.
same time, if we're not able to,
Right.
then I write down extensive notes.
Yes.
And before the appointment, I ask them like, is there something you guys need me to
Right.
ask? And then
Yeah.
every time I send like a medication update, I send them a
Okay.
screenshot, like, okay, I
Okay.
send this
Yeah.
medication. And so then,
Right.
yeah, so my one brother and I, we live very close to each other. And so
Okay.
we're both tagging each other more often. And then our baby brother lives in the city, so
Yeah.
um, uh, it's
N-
and he's got the younger kids, so
No,
he's got
that's
more kind of he's more
hands-on
of a
responsibility.
sandwich, at least my brother and other brother and my kids are a little bit older and a little bit more
Yeah,
independent.
he's maybe feeling that squeeze a little bit more. Let me ask
Yeah.
you this because you mentioned something that comes up a lot for me. I think about this often. And we have different phases in our lives, right? Things where when we're in our teens and our 20s and whatever, as we progress, each phase is a little different for us.
Mm,
That example of the mask that you put on
mm,
first, when I was younger, before I, became a father and all of that, and even when I just had become a father, I was just like,
mm,
this is the dumbest thing. Why would they tell us to do that? Like, I have to save my kid first or my wife first.
mm,
And I was always thinking about it like that. But then as I started to myself not have the inner strength and capacity to take on the
mm,
stresses of life, later on, I'm just like, no, I got to put my own mask on right now. Like, I
mm,
started to become more aware of it. And just like you told your children, like, guys, like
mhm.
I need a break. I can't
Had me some grace,
relax.
yes.
Yeah,
Mhm, mhm,
exactly. And so I've been finding that, like as I'm going through this squeeze and feeling it more, I don't have that kind of strength and resolve that I once did to be able to take on and tackle
Mm,
everything, to have that sense of positivity and optimism that just felt unending and ever flowing. Now I have to work to try to bring those
yes.
pieces of me back that I feel aren't there. So, as you've kind of gone through this journey and are going through this journey and kind of hearing what I'm saying here, like, how does what is there a light at the end of the tunnel? How does it look like for someone that's going through this? Do I ever find this kind of positivity,
Mm,
optimism, this person of myself? Does that ever come back? Is that, pieces that are just evolving? Like, what does that look like as we kind of go through the years and the journey of handling all of those stresses? And I know you're still doing it yourself too, but if you were to as you hear that, is there anything that comes that resonates with you that you feel like would be important to share?
so I guess what I understand you're asking me is how do I do self-care? Like how do I energize myself or
Yes, but even as you're hearing me talk about, like, look, here I went through these evolutions and I'm trying to find my own way back to
mm.
certain parts of me. How have you found yourself go away from parts of you that you wanted to keep and then find yourself
Mhm,
back, if you were able
mhm.
to find yourself back? Or, what does that evolution look like?
Right. So, again, I went through that phase where it was like I was not taking care of myself, but it
Yeah.
was, you know, uh, my my family, my spouse, my children, then my parents. And then over the time, okay, and I think that hadith really helped me,
Hmm.
where it's like your, Allah has a right over you, your body has a right over you, and people
Right.
have a right over you. And
Right.
that's when I was like, okay, okay, which means if
Hmm.
my body has a right over me, okay, I'm doing the Allah part, my rituals, my relationship with Allah, my
Yeah.
classes, my and then I'm doing the family part. Okay, my family, extended family. What about me? What about my body has a right over me? And I think
Right.
I really fought for that. I
Hmm.
really fought for that because I was given a guilt trip for my naps. Oh, so you're going to take a nap in the afternoon.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I'd reached a point where I was almost feeling so guilty for my naps. And then
Hmm.
my coach said, Saima, that's how you regenerate.
Hmm.
The way your nap is very essential for you because you are able to then sleep and then even for say 25 minutes, 30 minutes, a whole like REM cycle, sometime 1.5 hours, but you're able to then that's your coping mechanism.
Yeah.
And that's when I verbalize it to my family, like, I do not want to hear. It was a very firm, like, I don't want to hear anyone giving me a guilt trip for my nap.
Yeah.
And so that was one thing that was very firm on.
That's huge. Awesome.
And and then, subhanAllah, different people have different ways. Like some people will go out with friends and for ice cream and for movies and for, girls trip or this. And then for me, I'm part of an Islamic organization and I feel like I give back and I get guilt trip for that too. Oh, so you're
Hmm.
so busy. Why are you taking time out for this organization, Islamic
Right.
organization? And I'm like, but that's my self-care.
Right.
That's how almost like Surah Doha that
Mhm.
instead of notice like you've been blessed, how are you sharing your blessing with others? And yes, family and parents and stuff, they're an obligation. But for me, going and giving back to society also gives me that positive energy. Like I'm
Yeah.
not just a
Right.
wife, I'm not just a mother, my identity is not just the daughter. It's a
Service. Yeah.
yes, exactly. Service
Yeah.
to the greater society as
Yeah.
well.
Right.
Which again, sometimes it's like, oh, but a good mother would not do that. A good wife would not do that. So
Hmm.
that's the part that I had to kind of fight for, to bring that identity back that I'm more than just the mother, the wife, the
Yeah.
daughter.
Exactly. That I'm me. There's a
Yes.
part of me that needs to be done. I love that because I think that's the missing piece, right? Because being able to identify it, like you said, I understand service is important for me and energizes and fuels me. By taking care of others, I end up taking care of myself. And then by being able to get a nap, it's crucial for me. It's a sunnah and it re-energizes me in a way
And I
that
do it
I
with that Nia
need.
too.
Yeah, right, exactly. And so, I mean,
Alhamdulillah.
alhamdulillah, that's awesome. And then the foundation to all of this, though, what you started off with the hadith of just being able to mention how the Prophet ﷺ, told us, like you have a right on your body. And we
Mm,
think about the rights of everyone else, but we do need to think about the rights on our body, and that's such a huge
mm,
piece, and it's a big blessing to be able to do. Let's talk about emotional guilt, right? Because I feel like this is something that comes up in our community a lot. It's something that whether our parents knew it or our community knows it, we tend to guilt trip one another often. It's almost like we use this as a form of, I don't want to say emotional manipulation, but it becomes a form of pressure that is undue and put onto others and doesn't really fully take into consideration. Like you had to say, look, like, guys, I need this. This is just
mhm,
something that I need to have. But this concept of like emotional weight that comes from the guilt, shaming of, you're already doing so much, but here you have one of the family members or others that are now kind of projecting the pain that they're feeling or the resentment that they've now put. They're offloading it with these things that now put pressure on you. I get some messages from my mother who will send me these clips that I don't know who's out there in they're like Bollywood style clips that are
mm,
made to gain like guilt you to like your mother
mm,
passed away and you never went and visited her and it's so like gut wrenching because if there's some emotion there, but it also just feels very prying on people's emotion.
mm,
But so she sees these things, and then she'll send it to us. There's the unfaithful son who doesn't visit their parents or beats their parents. And it's like such silly scenarios, but we'll
mm,
get this. And it's just like, well, what are we supposed to make of
mm,
this, right? Like, is there a message you're trying to send us?
mm,
And so then you have this kind of constant flurry of these types of messages, then you'll have like a sibling that will feel like the weight of what they've been doing this week. And so they'll offload it in other ways. So then
mm,
we almost end up, instead of being able to talk about it and communicate it, and that's why I called out the sibling dynamic of what you had, mashallah, because I feel like it's
mm,
so important to be able to have that, right? And maybe you can tell us like what are some of the ways that we can help offset some of this emotional projection that we get that we know no one means ill and isn't
mm.
trying to guilt you, but that's just what they know. That's just how we grew up. That's just
Right,
what's
right,
in the
right.
culture because that's just how you do it. You get someone, you guilt shame them to do it almost.
Right, right, right. A few different things. Firstly, I learned this several years back out of my own kind of just observation.
Hmm.
I don't know if it's a Desi culture, but there's a lot of sarcasm in our
Yeah.
language.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so I started realizing, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, I grew up in a home like my parents did not use this kind of language. Like
Hmm.
no double meaning, no like sarcasm in the language. So firstly that, and then I started realizing that I don't like that tone. So I very consciously became somebody who made sure that I'm not doing that.
Nice. Yeah.
And then I also realized that I only control myself and I don't have control over what other people say to me or say. And so I again try to program myself where I'm not guilt tripping others. Because even though I'm emotionally just drained or exhausted, and I really want to have certain family members say, hey, can you? Where are you? Or, but then I had to take a step back and say, they have their plates full as well. And if I'm able to say it to them in a very nice, humble way, then I will communicate it to them. But if I can't, and a resentment will come up while I'm saying it, then I'm just going to keep
Mhm.
my mouth shut.
Mm.
But I do find myself sometimes talking to my mamu, and he's a
Mhm.
super sweet mamu. He loves my mother,
Mhm.
but he doesn't come as often.
Okay.
But so when he talks to me about like, oh, you should take care of mama this way, and we can take care of mama this way. So
Yeah.
I do sometimes tell him, yeah, I need you to come more often, please.
Right.
And of course, he loves me, and I love him more.
Right. Of course.
But then I find myself, but then later I'm like, did I say too much? Did I hurt
Mhm.
him? Did I? But I'm like, I know he knows me. So
Right.
so yeah, there's lots of different thought processes going on in my mind where I, again, like I say to myself, like the only person I control is myself. I wouldn't like others to guilt trip me, so I'm not going to do that to other people.
Yeah. Nope, that's huge. And I think that's a very important way to be able to do it. It's like what I do unto others as you want done unto you, right?
Hmm.
So it's such a important principle to be able to keep in daily life, and especially when it comes to these things, to be mindful of, and something that's important to have. So I love how you're using that, and you're being conscious of it too. And you're right, sarcasm comes in a lot into the cultural aspects as well.
Hmm.
I can name multiple instances of that as well. So the fact that you've became aware and then took
Hmm.
action for that, I think is the really big piece of it.
Yeah, I think subhanAllah, this conversation can go on and on. So
Yeah.
maybe we can end here for
Yeah.
today.
Well, let's talk about two things, right? Because I
Okay.
want to talk about anticipatory grief, because I think that's just an important one to talk about, and then I
Hmm.
want to
Hmm.
give like three things that maybe we can think about doing, as
Hmm.
just as kind of take homes, right? So,
Hmm. Hmm.
uh,
Hmm.
and anticipatory grief, like the reason why I want to talk about this, because this is especially with our elderly parents, that we know that we're grieving someone while they're still here, right? Like
Hmm.
they're still alive, but we know that they're
SubhanAllah.
inching towards something. So there's this concept called anticipatory grief, and
Hmm.
really what it is, and this was coming back to what you talked about. There's a role reversal that happens during this
Hmm.
process. You're parenting the person who parented you.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's its own quiet heartbrake. Like
Yes.
that's difficult in and of itself. And so
Yes.
having like these feelings that we have, knowing that we're doing this caretaking and it has a toll, and it plays a piece on us. One of the things I wanted to make sure, because like talking about that is one thing. Now it's like, how can we take some things back home with us to make sure that we take care of ourselves, because like that example of the mask in the plane, I use that
Mm,
so often and I feel like
mm,
it's so appropriate. But just for all of us, like one small kept promise that we can do daily, like for you, the nap, it's a non-negotiable. For me,
mm,
it might be going to the gym, or you know reading a bedtime story to my kids, something that I want to make sure I want to do because I know that I enjoy that. And so
mm,
whatever we can do to keep something for ourselves daily to be able to charge our own battery, I think is going to be important. The second thing that I think, and one that I really learned from you that I think is good, is asking for help is not failure. It's like sharing the load
yes.
includes naming it clearly to our
Yes.
siblings instead of just silently drowning in
Sorry.
it by ourselves. And so that I think is so crucial. It's just, okay, let's ask for help when we need it.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
Sorry.
go ahead.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but
Yeah,
at the same time, I really want to share this point when
please,
you were
please. Yeah,
saying asking for help. And this
right.
kind of brings in my mother too. That
Yeah,
subhanAllah, culturally, when there was a party, the 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 lady of the house
yep.
cooked, right? And
Yeah,
that's how
right.
our parents,
Yeah, for
were
sure.
and they cooked and for the whole, like if even if there
Yeah,
were 50 people in the house, they
yes.
would cook.
Yeah.
And subhanallah, So going back to that asking for help, when my brother and I started having Eid parties at our house, at our homes, and
Hmm.
my mother would, and she would be like, no, 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 we're gonna cook. I'm like, no, mama,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna cook. We're gonna
Yeah.
do a potluck. We're gonna do a
Right.
one dish, a potluck.
Right.
And she's like, no, that doesn't look nice. And
Yeah,
she said, don't
exactly.
worry, you don't have to cook. I will help you.
Right.
And then I literally was like, no, asking for help, no. Especially if
Yeah.
it's an Eid party and it's everyone's Eid party,
Yes.
then we're going to do a potluck. And that was
Right.
literally like a rebellious thing that
Right. Yeah.
I did. I did. And yeah, mama did not like that at all. But
Yeah.
I literally had to break that cycle to say, no, I'm
Amazing.
going to ask for help.
Right. And now it's I'm assuming moot point, like it's just
Oh,
normal.
yes,
Exactly.
Alhamdulillah.
It's
Yeah,
that difficulty in breaking and doing it. Everything you
yeah.
just
So
said,
sorry, I didn't
yeah.
mean to
No,
interrupt, but
you didn't. That's okay. I think the whole point of
but
this is that
asking
we
for
get that.
help.
Yeah, it's an important piece. And then one of the last things I think, so
Mm,
one is keep doing things for ourselves, asking for
mm,
help. Thirdly, I feel like one of the things is just like we keep a ritual for ourselves, it's important for us to keep a ritual for our spouse, for our family, like our
mm,
children, the
mm,
other people that are important in our lives that we need to do. So
mm,
social connection is a very important marker. So even if it's, your one small kept thing is going out with your friends, that's great. We have to have some socialization, but in caretaking and doing all of this, sometimes we'll get lost in not providing for our family in a way that makes us feel regretful. So just being able to be
mm,
mindful about how we do one thing with our
mm,
spouse or with our
mhm.
children, or our family. Like, we have Sunday brunch or movie night Fridays, whatever it might
Right.
be, something
Hmm.
that becomes that way. And so I think these are like three small things that we could do that would be important to
Inshallah.
have and to help us in kind of this difficulty of going through caretaking and being able
Yes,
to have that.
subhanAllah. And over the years, again, I've come back to quality over quantity.
I love that. Yes.
Yes. So almost for everything, I'm trying to, even in my Islamic organization, we
Hmm.
get a lot on our plate. And I always say, like, please, quality over quantity. And that's
That's
what I try to
awesome.
do with the children and the spouse, that even if it's like a few hours after dinner, just sitting and having green tea together,
Yeah,
just some quality with each kid.
that's awesome.
Even and then I try to actually with the kids, and they're again adults, 27, 24, and 20. I try to catch them when they have time. So
Right.
I try to kind of, because I realize when I have time, they might not be there.
Yeah.
So trying to catch them when they have time and
Hmm.
utilize that.
Right. No, that's
Mhm.
awesome. That's wonderful. And it's so thoughtful to be able to think about it that way too. And it's so interesting because as you're saying it, I'm like, okay, yeah, see, my kids are young. I have the time and I can make that time with them. Once they get to that
Mm.
that point where it's like now they're
Mhm.
too busy for
Mhm.
me, it's like, oh
Yes.
man, like that's a lot harder to be able to make that time and that
Hmm.
so just being able to catch them when you can. That's awesome. All right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that was pretty much it. I just wanted to mention those
Awesome.
things. And
Yes,
so inshallah we'll
absolutely.
have another conversation again, but this was wonderful. I appreciate you making time and talking through all of this with me. And inshallah we are able to have benefit from this that others can benefit from as well.
Yeah, no, jazakallah khair. And I really like how the two of us are in different periods of our life.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so it really, it's like a full circle.
Exactly.
And so I'm
And that's what
excited.
I love about it too, because I'm just like, oh, there's so much that I can probably learn from you. You're like my older Baji that I can just say,
Yeah,
hey, let me ask you
absolutely.
this,
Alhamdulillah.
and get that framing and perspective and having the background that you do, I think is so integral and crucial. So I appreciate it
Alhamdulillah.
very much.
Alhamdulillah.
Look forward to
Alhamdulillah.
future conversations, inshallah.
Yeah, jazakallah khair. Jazakallah khair.
وإياكم.
Inshallah, until next time. Assalamu alaikum.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.